The next project on the remodel list is to fix this closet. This closet used to come off of this wall. The doorway used to be here. It came off the master bath, and it was just weird. It was awkward, and we didn't like that. So we closed in that wall and we put in our door off the master here. Not a lot of space, but we're going to try to utilize every single square inch of space in this closet so we can make use of all of it. And going to Home Depot or Lowe's and simply buying a off-the-shelf system, we just waste a lot of space and just don't like that anyway. So we're going to build a custom system with shelving. We're going to build our own rod hanging system. On this side, we're going to put in a shelving system on this side of the wall to run all the way from this side, all the way across. Then there'll be 7 shelves that'll go all the way up. And then that will utilize this entire wall. And it will be tucked neatly inside this 10-inch space here. So when you walk in the closet, everything will be tucked in over here and you won't have anything in your way. Then there'll be a lot of storage on that side. I have the brackets ordered that are gonna hold all of these shelves, or brackets. It's gonna be a floating system, so the shelves will just set into the brackets. So that's the plan. We've got a lot of cutting and sanding to do. We're using raw shelving, 1 inch. To do this, we're going to sand each one of them, prime them, and then we're going to paint the shelves the same color as this wall. This is kind of a battleship type gray. That's the plan. So let's get to it. Got our saw set up there. Got the wood ready to go. Some of it shoved up onto the car there. These 1x8s will go on the wall. That's for support. And then the 1x10s down there, they're actually going to make the shelves. So we're going to get them cut out, and then we're going to get them primed up. We're going to use kills because hopefully that'll help cover up some of those knots that are still oozing a little bit of rosin. And then we're going to paint these the same color as the walls and the closet. Getting the primer on using a HomeRite Finish Max. These are actually made by Wagner. Works very well, but I need both hands, so just letting you see what I was doing here. get the primer on there, and then we'll paint them. All right, we got some of the shelving primed. So I took about, 7 pieces yesterday that you guys were seeing me paint with the sprayer. They're all dry. And you know, the biggest frustration in painting these shelves is painting the ends, or the sides and the ends, after you have painted the front and back. If you've ever painted cabinet doors, you understand the frustration. And so what I did yesterday afternoon, I went ahead and stacked up the remaining shelves, and I painted the sides and the ends. And you can see that it looks pretty decent. Kind of interested to see if they stuck together, and they didn't. So now I have all the ends painted, the sides painted, and now I just need to paint front and back of the rest of the stack. So let's get to it. I just want to point out on this project, if you want to do something similar, we're not building cabinets here. So this is number 2 grade shelving. And, you know, obviously we wouldn't use this to build cabinets. That'd be too much work filling in and too many knots. But I think it'll work well for what we're doing for the shelving system once we get everything painted. But we did sand them very well. So, you know, there's nothing rough, very smooth, even though you'd have, you know, some of these knots, even after they're primed and painted, you know, you're going to see some texture under there from some of these knots, but it's going in a closet, folks. It's not cabinets. The wind is killing me. Had to re-engineer my paint booth. That's an old dog cage that we're using, by the way. I put some plastic there to keep them. The paint was kind of getting through going into the back of the garage. But now I have this header piece up here. Before, the boards were up here, and then the wind was knocking the plastic into the paint. So I'm just doing them one by one now. Remember, the sides are dry, so I just flip them over, do the other side. And then I'm just standing them up over under the back deck. I got a piece of wood under them, letting them dry. Little redneck engineering. I'm really impressed with this Home Right sprayer. It's actually built by Wagner. I think I mentioned that earlier. You can get it on Amazon. I think it's around $100. But if you need a sprayer, go to YouTube, watch all of the reviews on these. I was a little skeptical when I bought it, but it's just a great sprayer. If it wasn't for the wind, I'm wasting some paint, or primer. But I have to do what I have to do. I don't have a paint booth. Probably had to take a few more passes than I needed to compensate for the paint loss on the wind. All the board's drying. And they are pretty much dry. Now ready for paint. This wind is killing me today. It's like 20 miles an hour at times. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the shelves. Actually, these are the runners that go against the wall. They'll provide the support for the shelves. I'll put the brackets on these. These go into the studs. But I'm painting the ends and the sides, letting them dry. All right, I have all of the supports and shelves. I have all the ends and the sides painted, so we'll let those dry, and then hopefully I'll be able to get everything painted today. One by 10 done. Well, I have finished up the painting. I'll show you the finish here. I just finished that one. It's not show quality finish because these are number 2 pine. So I have all the runners on now. And you can see there'll be the shelves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shelves. There'll be one that goes across, almost all the way across up top there. I've got these 2 runners on for the hanging system, and I've got that runner up above the door that'll also be a shelf. It'll come almost all the way across as well. I'll just have to leave room for the hanging system for the hangers, and I'll give you a better demonstration once I set all the shelving. Kind of messed up a couple of places. I had to do some patching, so I've got to paint that or touch it up. Okay, I got all the brackets in from Amazon, and you will see that, like I mentioned before, it's going to be a hanging system. So this goes against the wall, and then the shelf will hang or just sit in that channel. And then these have this turn up on the end that holds the plank in place. And I could fasten them down from the bottom if I wanted to, but I don't think it's going to be necessary with the way that we're going to do this. So I'll have about 4 of these for each shelf. Shelf will sit in there. And that's the plan anyway. And then for the other shelf, The hanging system on the other wall, I had to get these that are more reinforced because the clothes are going to be very heavy hanging. And then the shelf will kind of float on the top. I'll put a shelf up top, and it has the same type end to hold the shelf. The problem here, though, is we have to fashion a hanging system, something to hold the rod. So, also on Amazon, I found these hangers. These are made to be a roof or a ceiling style hanger. They hang on the ceiling, and then you put maybe curtain rods or pretty much anything you want to do. And there's several of these on Amazon, but I chose this one. It's an Amazon Basic. It's their most popular one. I chose it because it has the separation here. You see that screw there. You can take that screw out, pull that screw, and then this base comes off. And then I can take this piece, put it in here, through that hole, and have my hanging system. So I rigged one up already that I'll show you. And you can see there, I used the same screw that was in the base. I had to cut it down about 1/4 of an inch because it was bottoming out around here. But it works perfectly, and I'll be able to put the rod through there. It has the set screw, and it should work out perfectly. But you will have to cut the screw because you have all this space here that screw has to come through, and then you don't have the same space here. So it's only tapped to about right here. So once you cut the screw about 1/4 of an inch, it works fine. All right, I got 4 of the shelves in. And I've got 4 more brackets ready to lay another shelf there. So you can see how this is coming together. And as I said before, the shelves are just floating. They're just gonna lay in here. I had trouble with a couple of them being warped. Had to kind of fit them in there, but yeah, it's going good. I've got to set the brackets there on 2 more of the runners, set 2 more or 3 more shelves, and then this wall here will be done. So it worked out where I wanted. I wanted to be right on the edge of that molding, all the way down. So again, the goal is to use up every usable square inch of this closet and still be able to walk in and get what you need without things being on the floor. All right, got all the shelves in. And then this shelf up here to the top that I was going to put up here, I'm kind of rethinking that. About the only way to tie that in is to cut this lip off, and then I can butt this next shelf up to it, put another bracket here and here, or I can just butt it up to the bracket and not cut that off, but I don't like that. Something that I didn't factor. Let me grab coat hanger. Something I did not factor is when my clothes are hanging here, that shelf is coming across the bottom. It'll be up about 2 inches right here. It's going to be in the way. So I can cut the shelf down and maybe make it stop here, right around in here. Maybe actually right in here, which gives me about maybe half of what I was going to have. I'm not sure that's even worth it. And same thing with that one. I'll have to cut the shelf right before the door ends there, right up in that area. And I'll have a short shelf, again, because I've got to hang clothes. So I think what I'll do is, I got one or two choices. I can go in, I can remove that board, not put a shelf there, or I can leave the board because it looks okay. I'll fill in these screw holes and then touch up that board and then hang some little hooks there to hang hats on. So maybe I can just have hats up there and then maybe up there as well. And that way I don't have to worry about that small shelf. If that shelf would have went all the way across like I planned and tied into the other, it would have worked. But the way I've designed it, the way I've changed my plans, it's not going to work. This shelf over here is going to be higher. It's not going to be much of a shelf at all on the top. So it can't run all the way around and tie in with its other shelf system. I don't think, unless I re-engineer the hanging side, and I'm really not wanting to do that. So here are the brackets up for the hanging system. Get some rod material so I can get all this fastened in. I can't put these in until I get the rod because I've got to slide them onto the rod and then mount them. So that's next. So we decided to go copper pipes for the clothes hanging. I couldn't find anything off the shelf that would work. We're going 68 inches. Everything off the shelf was, the clothes rods were like 60 inches. So I had to find something else, but these look really cool, especially with these black brackets. So we went with those. And obviously you wouldn't want to go a real long span without several supports using copper, because copper is obviously very soft. We'll have 4 total supports on these. I got one more to put on here. Okay, so this is the closet with the rods mounted, copper rods. It's kind of tight filming quarters. So that's it. Still got a little bit of painting to do. I have to do a little patchwork on both sides there. Yep, so I'm gonna set the boards in. Now I got the shelves set in. They're just floating. That wall has a bow in it. Not sure if I've mentioned that yet, but so you can see the shelf doesn't exactly set square into the brackets, but that's okay. Kind of see that bow there. It's a closet. Who cares? I've got a couple of things to do, a little bit of touch up, hang the hat rack, and then hang a gun mount right up there. And then I'll give a final update before I end the video and get all these tools cleaned up. complete. I'll have to pull up these two last shelves here to when they lay the carpet, but that won't be an issue. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you next time. Please subscribe.